Hey guys, thank you for coming to my reading today. I'm really excited to get into the reading. Just a few things before we get started. I do have an Etsy page where I offer personal readings. So if you are curious, you have a burning question you need answered, if you have multiple questions you need answered with the multi-question reading that I have offered there, you can do that too. I do have the single question as well. With that said, let's get into the readings. Thank you again so much for watching. I appreciate you guys being here. I know it's been a while since I've had a video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And I'll look forward to getting into your readings today on your next lucky break. Hey everyone, welcome back to Cody Tarot. I'm your tarot reader, Cody. In today's pick a card, we have a very special one in honor of St. Patrick's Day. I'm doing these like very holiday themed kind of readings lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed since like January. But today is like, what's your next lucky break? So what's your next lucky break? What is going to happen that is just kind of like very serendipitous, very lucky? This could either be in love, career, any area of life, really. We're going to leave it very open and see what your next lucky break is going to be. So without further ado, we have 5 crystals in front of us. If you're new to the pick a card, what I'm going to do is show you the crystals one by one. Each crystal is associated with a group 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And basically what you're going to do is select one of the crystals, whichever one you're most drawn to. Then in the description box of the video, there are showing the crystals associated with those groups, and there's a timestamp. You click on that timestamp associated with that group and crystal, and it'll fast forward you to your reading. So without further ado, let me show you the crystals one by one. Let's get into it. So the first crystal is pink opal. So this is the first group. Group 1 is pink opal. Group 2 is the Dreamcoat Lemurian. It's a crystal within a crystal. So it's group 2. Group 3 is the Danburite. It's group 3. Group 4 is the green quartz. This has a more technical name. I know it's from Tanzania, I think. But I'm just calling it green quartz for now. It has like a different kind of name. But yeah. Let's see. It was sold to me as something, I just don't remember the name. Then this is one we have is the Aquamarine. So the Aquamarine here. So those are all your groups for today. Feel free to pause the video here if you need to. Say you select your crystal through meditation and your process takes a little bit longer than someone else's. You can pause the video here if you need to. Without further ado, let's get into the groups, starting with group number 1, the pink opal. Hey, group 1, if you chose the pink opal, this is your reading. So right before your reading, I had not silenced my notifications. I didn't put my notifications on Do Not Disturb, and I film these videos on my phone, right? So as soon as I started your pile, a message came through, a notification from YouTube Studio about someone commented something about group 4 in a video or something like that. I was getting a notification about a comment. And so it's interesting that it was about group 4. The number 4 might be significant for you. Just pointing that out there that when this reading came up, I did get that notification. And if that means anything to you, maybe you watched a pick a card recently and you chose group 4, something like that. Okay, so let's get into your reading. I'm going to draw a Moonology manifestation card for you guys and about your next lucky break. And we have first quarter moon in Pisces, honor your feelings. I'm going to roll the Astro Dice 2 for you guys. We have the sun, we have Aquarius, and we have the 8th house. Then I want to draw some tarot cards. Actually, let's pull some tea leaf cards first to see what is going on with this lucky break. And let's get one from right in the middle right here. I'm going to take 3 tea leaf cards. And then let's get your tarot. And we're using the Light Series Tarot today. So let's see, what tarot cards need to come out for group 1? We have the Star. I'm not going to take reversals today, guys, just FYI. the Star, we have Strength, we have King of Pentacles, and we have the Hangman. And let's see what your tea leaf cards say. Our first tea leaf card we have is Needle and Thread. A sincere wish will be granted. We have Older Woman, dealing to relationship with an older woman. And we have Fair Man, dealing to a relationship with a man with blonde, gray, or white hair. Let me see if this can... There we go. That looks kind of symmetrical. Okay, let's see here. So first, I want to point out the first message I'm saying with first quarter moon in Pisces, honor your feelings. With the first quarter moon here, I think your next lucky break, it's going to be something you're already working towards when you receive this lucky break. With the Star card here, I do think this is something that is destined on your path. Like this next lucky break is something that you really are meant to experience. With the 8th house here in Aquarius, I think there's some kind of innovation with someone else's resources, someone else's finances, or there could be some kind of innovation in psychotherapy. I'm particularly getting psychotherapy with the Hangman in the 8th house here because this represents shifting your perspective in the element of the mysterious, right? So 8th house, I'm kind of associating with psychology in this particular case. So there could be a feeling of a psychological breakthrough, some kind of transformation, something like that. With Aquarius energy here, it could be an innovation in something like that. That could be the next lucky break. So for whatever the reason is, this is also, for those of you who are into the occult, you're into the spiritual side of life, you're into metaphysics, or you're into like crystals or tarot or whatnot, there could be an innovative way to work with these energies that you get a different perspective to work with these types of energies. And your next lucky break is, especially if there's people watching this that study stuff like this, you study tarot, you study crystals, you study mystery, you study ghosts, you study mediumship, stuff like that, and you're learning about these things, you're getting a different perspective on these things, and it's causing you to innovate in this department. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm trying to think of like planets that would be associated with innovation, because we do have the sun here, which talks about something about your core purpose or identity is involved with this thing. So like I said, with the 8th house here, it's going to either be a few different things. It's going to be money from someone else, like someone else's money gets really bulked up and they're sharing that with you. It could be a breakthrough in therapy, a breakthrough in psychotherapy, a breakthrough in understanding yourself, an innovative way to work with a therapist, or maybe you find an innovative therapist. We see that again here with Older Woman and Fair Man. There might be two people you're working with in particular that give you this kind of new insight. The other thing that I'm seeing for those of you who are into the occult, this is learning an innovative way to work with the other side, or work with the mysterious or the unknown or death in a way that is very beneficial to you, that you're kind of seeing things from a different angle. The lucky break for those of you who work with the occult, it's going to be this piece of missing information. So it's like you had this way of figuring things out before and it was working for you, so it was kind of working. It was effective, but not efficient is the best way I could put it, for whatever talents you guys possess or whatever you're working with. Now you're going to be receiving this innovative way of doing something, and it's going to streamline the process very, very perfectly, very, very effectively, right? Maybe you guys have really realized, for example, that using clairvoyance gets you really accurate messages, something like that. But when it comes to accessing the images, maybe it's difficult for you, something like that. And maybe you tap into some kind of version of clairvoyance that involves clairaudience or something, and you're combining the two, and it creates this really streamlined, efficient process, something like that. So for those of you that are into the occult, that is kind of what the lucky break is. For those of you who are into psychology, or you're in therapy currently, or you're working through some kind of psychological disturbance in yourself, something that is causing you to transform and look at the self. We do have the sun here that represents the self, represents the spirit of the self. And one thing that I'm seeing is that through another person, whether this was older man or this fair man, or older woman and this fair man, there's an energy of seeing things from a different angle and learning something, having a breakthrough in this department. So especially this is going to be good news for those of you who are, in therapy right now and you're working on some issues and stuff like that. I would go even so far as to say, even if you're working with a psychiatrist with medications and stuff like that, maybe you're stumbling on getting a different perspective on your condition and you're seeing things from a different angle, you're getting different medications, something like that. Now, I don't do health stuff in my readings, or I try to steer away from that. If it does come up, I do mention it just in case it resonates. But just so you guys know, you have to make your own decisions in your own life with your own good judgment, and take into account like medical professionals and stuff like that, people who really know what they're talking about. Because as a reader, I'm just seeing things in the cards. I don't have medical background. I don't have legal background. Just a little forewarning for you guys, just so you make good decisions, But you could be coming through some kind of breakthrough. And like I see that with the older woman and the fair man. There's some specific person, especially with older women, I'm seeing someone in authority with a more nurturing component to them. So this might not necessarily be a woman per se, or someone who is literally older than you, but someone who has experience, right? Someone who has experience and has a nurturing quality to them. So for example, that could be a therapist with like a master's degree in like psychotherapy, something like that. Or if you're like focused on that occult stuff, it could be you get some wise sage advice from a nurturing older witch lady or something like that, or some kind of older medium takes you under their wing and shows you a little trick of the trade, right? Now, for those of you where this is finances, right, with the 8th house here being finances, there could be a wiser woman in your life who is helping you through financial things. And also one thing that I'm seeing too is there could be some kind of thing with this older woman where she's passing on wealth to you, right? Because it's all about like inheritance, what we're seeing here. So it's whether it's inheritance of information of the self and the psychology, whether it's inheritance of information for the occult, or whether it's inheritance of financial stuff, right? It's this factor of inheritance. And with the older woman here, this older woman could be someone from your family that's giving you money, or even someone outside your family. I mean, that's going to be more rare for some of you, but that could be the case as well. Now, one way this is going to come about and how you'll know this is kind of your lucky break, with strength here, you'll be really focusing on mastering your more impulsive side of your personality. So for example, say you're like, maybe you have struggled with like, I'm just going to use my struggle on here, right? Like I struggle with like eating a lot, right? Like I overeat, that's just how I am. But what I'm seeing here is you're kind of taking that thing that you're doing, that impulsive kind of animalistic urge, and you're putting some discipline to it, right? With the strength card here, it's about taking our animalistic impulses, like the things we want to do based off instinct and desire and stuff like that, and giving it a human component, kind of purifying the body with reason, logic, and willpower, right? That's kind of what strength is about, or at least that's how I see strength. You'll be doing a lot of this right before this event happens. Also with King of Pentacles, we have the Lone Wolf and we have the Library. You'll be spending a lot of time to yourself. This is the vibe of someone who is doing a lot of research, reading books, especially this particular King of Pentacles in this deck, because he's sitting in the middle of a library. And the Lone Wolf kind of reminds me of someone who is, ferocious, fierce in and of themselves. Like you're in a position where you can defend yourself, but at the same time, you're in a position where you're learning a lot, right? So it's not like you're, disappearing from the world and the rest of your life is going to hang by the wayside, something like that. I said hang, the hangman, that's so funny. Hang by the wayside, you're not going to other things in your life aren't going to slip away. It's just you're kind of getting this ability to have a little vacation, to learn something new. You're going to really be studying something really, how do I put it? There's this feeling of really educating yourself on a particular subject matter and learning this. Now it's interesting because that could deal with, your breakthroughs in therapy. That could deal with your breakthroughs in metaphysical knowledge, right? In a way, I think if this is the inheritance, right, there could be a feeling of even reading family lineages and books that actually relate to your past lives and you don't even realize it. There's so many times too that what we don't realize, and this is kind of a weird thing, but you can read a book of fiction where it's fantasy or there's characters that some author created. And what you don't realize is you're reading a past life of yourself. And, it can happen. And I think that there's this process where you're reading certain books and the characters in the books you're really relating to. You're like, man, I really relate to this character. I feel like this is bringing up some shit, you know? And so there could be a vibe of this too, especially those of you who this is the breakthroughs coming in therapy, where you're learning through this character and you're discussing these character traits with your therapist. And maybe there's this feeling of even admiring the character in the book and kind of like having the character from the book stimulate conversation with this person who's passing down knowledge to you. And you're kind of getting a trigger of that different perspective that gives you that kind of, how do I put it? Experience level to advance your metaphysical or your self-exploration, right? With the Hangman here too, the way I would interpret this with finances, right? Also with King of Pentacles, this is just like typical of the King of Pentacles, but there's this vibe of like being the wealthiest person in the room, like having the most money, like being the one who is the benefactor for all the people trying to benefit from you, you know, and you being the one that's the provider, something like that. That could be something that's coming through for a lot of you for your lucky break, like being in a position of financial power over others, something like that. Now, whatever this is, you're already on your track to this. So this is going to be something that you've already started. So for example, if you're watching this reading and you know you're studying metaphysical stuff and you're really into that, or you've started projects like that, but say you're not in therapy, this would not be about therapy. This would be about the metaphysics stuff. It's not something that in this reading, that's something that you're going to start later, because we have first quarter moon in Pisces. This is a period where you've already started something. You're kind of in the slightly beginning stages of this, is kind of how I'm seeing it. With the Star card, though, this is something you've wished for, you've wanted as well. It is also something, not just that you wished for, but it's something that's also on your path, right? You're looking at this string into the sky and you're seeing where things are going. It's funny, this string is kind of reminding me of a stethoscope, actually. And she's holding this part next to her heart. And it's almost like the sky is the doctor listening to her heart's wishes or listening to the beat of her heart. And so one thing that I'm kind of seeing here is it's like the universe is ready to heal you, right? They're just giving you a checkup. This is kind of the lucky break. It's like, okay, we've given you the checkup, it's like the universe has been listening to your heartbeat, right? They're listening to your heartbeat. They're monitoring for palpitations. They're just looking for things to diagnose you with and help you with, right? And now what's going on is like with this strength building, this is like your recovery phase, right? Where your doctor, AKA the universe, like puts you on a strict diet and they're like, you gotta cut out carbs, right? Whatever the fact is, you know? And the universe is putting you on this plan, this program, right? And this is kind of like, you're being shown signs. You're being shown signs. You're being shown clues and stuff like that to get to this lucky break. And you're kind of following the path. That's kind of what the Star card's all about. It's like following the path. Like you think of the star, like the North Star, it's directional. The stars in ancient times were directional. Sailors would use the stars to orient themselves in the ocean when they're traveling from continent to continent. So one thing that I'm thinking is this direction, right? It's like the universe is guiding you on this path, right? So whenever you get the Star card, and this might come up for you in other readings too, when you see the Star card, it's just a symbol that you're on the right path and the universe has you in the right exact place they want you, right? This can be a great card when you're doubting what you're doing or you're doubting where you're going, or maybe you feel like you're not doing the right thing or whatever. If you see the Star card, it's like, oh no, this thing that we're asked, like if you ask a question like about something and the Star card pops up, it's just like, oh, this is the path, like this is where I need to go. You know, the Star card also refers to hope in a more traditional sense of the Star card. And so there's this feeling of having a hope for something. And hope is simply just like this expectation of the future being positive, right? And so at the Star, it's just kind of showing you that the universe is going to eventually, because you're on the path, right, bring you to that positive outcome. With honor your feelings here, I really feel like through this process and facilitating this lucky break, there is this period where you're going to be honoring your feelings. So for example, if there's any times where you feel upset, it's not about like trying to suppress those feelings and saying like, oh, I'm upset. Like I shouldn't be feeling this way. I shouldn't be feeling upset. I should be feeling happy, or I should be feeling grateful or whatever. Like there's this feeling of honoring those feelings and just being like, you know what? Like I'm upset and I honor that. Like what made me upset? Why did that make me upset? and just honoring those feelings. You know, it's kind of like having respect for them, because it's like your body kind of in a way knows what it's doing, and so you do have to honor those feelings and have respect for them. And it's not like you have to, you just will. Like, that's kind of the growth point that's coming up, and that's kind of part of this transition to this lucky break. The sun indicates shining, success, passion, life purpose, your soul, what you represent as far as your soul goes. It's a luminary, so it's illuminating things. That's another thing that I'm seeing with the hangman too, with this aura, this like light shining by his head. The original hangman has this kind of like aura or halo around his head, which indicates this kind of sense of enlightenment through seeing things through a different angle. And I do see this sense of glowingness about you, like not only in your appearance, like what we see in the strength card, but there's this sense of glowing as far as like something illuminating something in your path. Like your lucky break is that illumination, right? And it's something that's an innovative way to express some kind of 8th house topic. Also, if it's dealing with finances, right? This older woman could be someone, wise, nurturing, feminine figure. I'm going to say that because that's what this really is. Would be represented as someone who's helping you innovate in the realm of finances or something like that. Or there's some kind of different way of doing something when it comes to other people's money, that someone else might be doing something kind of goofy with their money and you are profiting and benefiting from it. With Fair Man, this says dealing to relationship with the man with blonde, gray, or white hair. One physical description I did get about this, and it's actually interesting because I saw one of my friends at the gym tonight, an old friend of mine at the gym, and he had this kind of dyed, bleached hair right now at this current point in his life. And so it's funny this card comes up because I do want to point out that synchronicity. Even if it's just purely physical and it doesn't have to do with like, it's not more interpretive. If someone has bleached or white hair, or you start seeing more like male figures or masculine figures with bleached white hair or blonde hair, something like that, or silver hair, even if someone has silver hair, that could be a sign. I would pay attention because that could be a sign your manifestation's coming. Or if you know what someone in particular that has silver hair or gray hair, this could be a period where this person could come into your life. With Needle and Thread, it just says a sincere wish will be granted, which makes me feel like you guys have really wanted this, what's coming up. I feel like for a lot of you, you're just really studying something really intensely, or you're like really working on your mediumship abilities or some kind of supernatural type of thing, and you're really trying to hone that skill. This is a breakthrough, a massive breakthrough through innovation. So the thing that's the lucky break is you're going to find a new way to do something that's not traditional. I mean, it's even further emphasized because the first quarter moon is in Pisces, right? And Pisces is kind of that surreal, I'm in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by intuition kind of vibe. And with the crown chakra here, there is some strong energy of like tapped into a higher consciousness. Now, fair warning, you guys, I like opened my crown chakra recently just for the kicks, just to do it. And I got like it was a wild experience. Like I had to really ground myself really like aggressively like the next few days in order to like kind of sublimate the energy of that crown chakra. So keep that in mind. When you open your crown chakra and you're just absorbing stuff, it can kind of be like intense. I'm not a master at chakras. I understand what they all mean. I understand the energy that I feel with each one of them. But I know Kundalini energy is like where it starts at the base and it rises up and out of the crown rather than coming through and down through the crown, right? So maybe that's something you want to look into, experiencing that kind of Kundalini thing. Especially with the star card here, it could be that facilitates more on your path where you start at the root chakra and you work your way up to the crown and let all the energy from the earth out into the heavens. It might pull more things into your path and cause more lucky breaks in general. I think that's about it for this reading. Thank you guys again so much for letting me read for you. It was fun. It was a pleasure. It always is a pleasure for me. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, if you want to help out the channel, like or comment below. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next pick a card. Bye. Hey group 2, this is if you chose the Dreamcoat Lemurian crystal. So let's get into your reading. Let's start with a Moonology manifestation card for your next Group 2's lucky break. And we have New Moon and Gemini. Think it through. Let's get you some tarot cards. We need 4 tarot cards out on the table today. Let's see. Let's get some tarot cards for Group 2's lucky break. We have the 10 of Wands, Page of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles, 9 of Swords. Let's roll the Astro dice. We have the 6th house, we have Aquarius, and we have, what is that, North Node. And let's get some Tea Leaf Oracle cards for you guys. I'm going to take the 2 that fell out of the bag as well. So let's see here. First Tea Leaf Oracle card, we have Ant, which says work, achievement, success. We also have Younger Man, dealings or relationship with the younger man. And we have Nest, an emotionally secure, loving family is important to you. Oh, I'm a little off-center on these cards. So let's move those over. There we go. Looks better, doesn't it? Okay. Let me get into your reading. Okay, so let's get into your reading. So first, with the 10 of Wands, I want to say your next lucky break is a move, right? You're moving. You are relocating, and it's actually, the thing is with this woman here, it looks tough. Like the relocation looks tough. This is kind of this feeling of like blessing in disguise, because I do see that you guys will be moving. You will be taking a trip somewhere and moving for a while. Like this is almost like a permanent move, something like that. There could be something like this where you're taking a trip for work, but you don't know what the job entails, something like that. Like you're going out on a limb and you're taking a risk with this kind of career move or something like that. Overall, you have these lit torches in the back of your path showing you that the whole time you have been guided. There's a feeling of being guided. I think that if you are some of my viewers who are more spiritually in tune, you have been being guided for quite a while, actually. There's a strong vibe that like you are on a path and you kind of know that even though the path has been difficult, or even though the path has, maybe you've had to have or carry a lot of responsibility, something like that. The beautiful thing about this is that even though that's the case, you've been getting signs along the way, little lit torches showing you you're on the right path and you're on the right trail to your destiny. The cool thing about this is you guys have received lucky breaks in the past, right? With these lit torches on the back of the path. There's this feeling of, you know, throughout your life or throughout your life recently. For most of you, I'm seeing recently when I feel like a lot of you have come to a spiritual awakening, or you've come to some kind of spiritual understanding, and it's led to these lucky breaks. And so the universe is blessing you because it loves that you're connected to it. You know, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. With North Node here, we get strong indications about your destiny yet again. And it just means that you're on the right path, right? You're on the right path. You're heading in the right direction. All is well and good. Even though there's been some tough times and there's some good times, you know, Rome was not built in a day. You know, like you're going to have some tough times and some lucky breaks, but you're headed towards a future with way more lucky breaks in it than you can even imagine, right? Your road to your future is lit with lucky breaks. That's how the universe speaks to you, right? Is through lucky circumstances. When you have a good thing happen to you, that's when you guys pay attention to signs and you realize that's the time when the universe is giving you that big fat hug and that big fat go ahead, right? They're giving you that kind of prod or that push in the right direction. So you guys might be focusing on one sign in particular that's leading to this next lucky break, something like that. But whatever the case may be, you're feeling called to move. This could be as simple as moving across town. This could be, for most of you, I'm seeing a larger move, like a move to another state. If you're in the United States, or a move that's probably like 50, 100 miles away, something like that. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. that there is some kind of move happening. Now, the move leads to this whole big thing, right? There's kind of a little bit of a storyline to your lucky break. With Think It Through, you will have the clarity to think things through, particularly in this time period, but it will seem like you're being impulsive, right? I do think that this next phase of life, you will have a clearer head as well. When you right before you're going to make this move, you have kind of like a clearer head, right? And it all comes from these signs from the universe. That's kind of what I'm seeing. It's like you see the sign and it's so clear and obvious you need to make this move, right? With Page of Pentacles, I see this move is precipitated by a job offer. It's like there's a job offer and you have to move for the job offer, something like that. There's two messages for the Page of Pentacles. Pages represent children typically, or like younger people. If you are a family and you have a younger child, I'm going to get into that in a little bit because we do have with the Nine of Swords here, your loved one, when it comes to this move, like having a little bit of a struggle with the move or making the move, something like that. But it's not, overall, it's not the biggest deal. I know it sounds like it would be a big deal and you're probably thinking like that would be a huge deal. Like I can't move if my kid doesn't want to move. And for the most of you, I'm seeing your kid does want to move. This Nine of Swords is actually representing more of like your spouse or your life partner. Now, if you're single, don't worry about that because there is this feeling that with younger man here, Dylan's relationship with a younger man, a lot of you are either going to meet someone when you make this move or something like that. But for a lot of you, I'm seeing you're already in a relationship or you're already with some kind of connection to someone romantically is what I'm seeing. And you guys are like living together or you're committed to the point where you would move with the other person, something like that. For a lot of you, you're married, something like that. I know a lot of single people watch my channel or a lot of people who are looking for crush or love and stuff like that. But this is my group that watches my channel that is probably in a relationship. I would say if you're not in a relationship, if you're not married, if you don't have kids, if you're not committed to someone right now, and you don't have to be married, as long as you're committed, that passes for this reading. I would say this reading's going to probably be inaccurate for you because the main storyline here for this particular reading is this sense of moving, this sense literally moving, right? Moving to a different place, but this sense of like moving with a family, right? The other thing I want to mention about this reading, just before we get too far into it and you kind of are like, oh man, I watched the whole thing, but it didn't resonate, something like that. One thing that I want to point out is that you might have a spouse that is kind of a worrywart or someone who worries a lot or kind of has a lot of doubts about things or is kind of unsure of how things are going to play out, or they kind of they almost like think things through too much is kind of the vibe that I'm getting with this particular spouse, something like that. That is another thing that I am seeing. For a lot of you, that's the other thing I want to mention. For a lot of you, this could be an accurate reading if the next lucky break comes after you meet someone. So for example, maybe your next lucky break comes after you meet someone, after you get committed, and after you find a kid, right? Or find a kid, right? You could adopt, but or have a kid, right? The thing about this is why I don't think this is the case for a lot of you if you're single watching this is because this is kind of your next lucky break, right? This is the one that when you watch this reading, this is the next one coming. You may want to come back to this reading, or maybe you do come back to this reading after you're married, after you have a kid, something like that, and the reading will resonate for you then or something like that. That could be a sign, especially if you just started your spiritual journey and you've had a few lucky breaks and you're learning to follow your spirituality in that way. But at that point, I would click off the reading right now because that's kind of the main message for you to maybe come back to this, or you can watch the rest of it if you want to know what a future lucky break is. But for those of you where this is your next lucky break, let me continue the reading. Let me just continue the reading. So with your child here, the Page of Pentacles, this also represents new beginnings in career, a new opportunity, a new curiosity about a particular type of work. She is rooted to the ground with one root stemming from her shoe into this kind of mandala in the ground. I'm seeing this as your aura that is attached to the floor or your aura that's attached to your feet. There's something about walking in the right direction. That's kind of the metaphor I'm getting, is walking in the right direction and being stable the entire time. And that's kind of this feeling the universe is going to give you eventually. Now, when you get this new job, your partner's a little worried. We see that here with the Nine of Swords. They're a little stressed out because they don't know about this move. Like it's a brand new thing, right? But I do see your partner does trust you. So even though they worry, even though they have this feeling of like, I don't know what's next, I don't know if this is the right gamble, this is the right move to make, your partner does trust you. And it's this trust that actually builds your connection even stronger when you do make the move. Because I do see when you make this move with the Nine of Pentacles, it's to a job that pays a lot, right? It's almost like you have this idea of what kind of work it's going to be or what you want to do. But when you finally get the job, it's like, whoa, this pays a ton, right? And when you move to this place, I think you're not going to realize like how much better your quality of life is going to be when you make this move. For a lot of you, if you're trying to make a move right now, you're planning or you want to make a move, you want to get out of the country or you want to move somewhere in particular, you don't realize how much better your quality of life is going to be after this move. Like it's a very nice thing. And with 6 here, the 6th house here, this is your daily work. I think your daily work is going to feel heavenly. With Aquarius energy here, I do think your daily work is going to have some kind of humanitarian component to it. I do think that you work for the greater good of all people when you work in this job. And I think that's something that makes you guys feel really good about yourself. It's like you're on a mission to help humanity, or you're on a mission to do things that are helpful in the world. So this is not going to be the kind of job where you're like, man, I make a lot of money, but what I'm doing is kind of evil. Like I'm whatever, like it's like I'm doing advertising and putting it up near schools where kids are, for like cigarettes or something like that. It's like some weird, there's like some kind of thing where there's maybe you guys have a fear of like doing something unethical or inadvertently doing something unethical in your career, something like that. But this is a career where there's a solid backing of ethics to this career. And there's a solid backing of doing something good for the world. You guys are your new job and your new workforce is a force to be reckoned with as far as humanitarian concerns are going. With Ant here, it says work, achievement, success. This is all things in your next lucky break. I think work will feel good. I think you will have an achievement with work. For some of you, you will be in the same line of work, but you will get promoted, and that promotion is going to be in a different state or going to be in a different county, or apply what region, I guess you could say, if you live in another country. I don't know what other countries like municipalities are called, but this is kind of this vibe of like getting promoted and having to move, right? And then getting paid a lot more and your quality of life totally in being enriched and enhanced. With success here, this is going to feel like a big success, right? With Nest, an emotionally secure, loving family is important to you. I want to get into that worrywart spouse of yours, right? Where they're kind of like, I don't know about this, I don't think your kid kind of gets excited about your career as well. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Like they're excited that you're getting promoted, something like that. Or it's possible they're too young to understand what's going on. Maybe you have a child that's like 2 or 3 and they haven't really integrated into the world yet. They haven't really gone to a school, or they don't really have a solid set of friends. Or even if they had like friends as a 3-year-old, it's not gonna be the biggest deal if they move, right? And with an emotionally secure, loving family is important to you. I think this is a move where you're thinking like, my family can have a fresh start. My kid can go to a really good school. Like there's this feeling of like having a perfect like world for your family. With 9 of Swords here, your spouse is just worried because they don't know what the new place is going to be like. They don't know how much money you're going to make. It's weird that I'm saying that because you guys will know how much money you're going to make for some reason, but your spouse is like worried that it's either not enough money or it's not, how do I put this? Like, it's almost like your spouse is just concerned about financial things, but the vibe that I'm getting here is it's like you totally prove them wrong or something like that. There's this feeling of like you prove their doubts wrong, or you can kind of, I don't think you guys will say I told you so, but there's this vibe of like when this happens, you're going to be like, I knew it all along that this was a good thing. Like I've been being guided and this guidance hasn't led me wrong yet. Right. So there's kind of this vibe here that your spouse kind of eases their worries as they integrate into this new environment, into this new land, or into this new place that you've moved, right? So the cards are just urging you, don't worry about that, because like this bird is being erased, and there's like all these crows up here representing her worries and her thoughts and her anxieties. This crow is being erased, and one by one, you're gonna erase these birds, and you have a bird here too. You have a white bird here, and this bird is kind of turning white, is translucent right now. It's like you're slowly turning all of your spouses, or partners. So for some of you, you're not married, but you're just committed to this person. But you're turning all of their worries into hopes. You're turning all of their worries into like bright things that they need, that they're thinking about. You know, they're sense of security, right? You're turning their worries into a sense of security. And it's interesting because she's plucking a pentacle out of this garden up here, and it's just such an abundant card with this 9 of Pentacles. And it's almost like this bird is like giving her this pentacle, you know? So there could be a feeling that your luck just improves even further when it comes to your spouse and erasing their doubts, right? The more your spouse gets comfortable, it's like your luck improves as well. So with an emotionally secure, loving family is important to you, I do see this coming, especially in the long run. I think your family is going to be very happy here. Even if you move again, this is going to be a really good place for your family to live for what I'm getting like 5 or 10 years, but like it's going to be a good place for your family to live. For a lot of you, it's going to be a permanent thing. With dealing with your relationship with a younger man, I do think that there could be a few things with this card. With a younger man, I do think you could get this job opportunity from someone younger. Usually you would think it's like a boss, or it's like someone above you in a position of authority. But there could be someone who's younger that puts a word in for you at their company or something like that. That gets your foot in the door, and then you get the position, something like that. With younger man too, this can represent your child if your child's a younger man or is like a teenager or something like that. There might be a lot of conversations with your kid about moving and like if they're okay with that and stuff like that. Now, for some of you, if you're a single parent, right, this kid could be this 9 of Swords energy, right? They could want to move, and they could give you the okay to move, but they're just worried about it, right? And maybe through this process, you ease their worries, right? So if you're not in a relationship, but you do have a child, that could be the case here as well. Yeah, let me see. We think it through. There might be some situations where you have to think things through pretty carefully, or maybe like paperwork or something that you have to write down pretty carefully or something like that. But with new moon in Gemini, it's like clear thoughts. And it's like new moon means it's a new beginning. It's a fresh start. It's the beginning of an entirely new chapter. With these manifestation moonology cards, I've been reading like quarter moons is something that you're already working towards, and your lucky break is like a success in that, or like the full moon is like this feeling of ending or completing something, or, you know, walking away from something, and that's the lucky break, whatever the case may be. But you have a new moon. This is a fresh start. This is a fresh start. So I feel like you guys, when this lucky break comes, you're like ready for this fresh start. It's like a fresh kind of energy. We do have mountain ranges here. We do have a pink and purple kind of mountain range, and we do have a night sky that has a pretty clear night sky behind it with like some galaxies and mist. The place you could be moving to could have like fog. It could have mountain ranges nearby. There could be really beautiful scenery, something like that. And with new moon in Gemini, I think there's a lot of talking and chatting about this move with your family. I think there's a lot of like, wow, look at this. This is cool. This is cool. You know, I think you guys are getting very hyped up about it. But then your spouse kind of is always keeping those worries to the back of their mind, and they kind of mention those every once in a while. And you guys are kind of the hopeful ones. You're like, you'll see, you'll see. And then once you guys get there, they do see. You know, they're kind of like, oh, okay, you're right. Like, I didn't have anything to worry about. Like, this is really nice. They're kind of in that camp, right? This is part of your destiny with the North Node here. I know a lot of astrologers don't see the North Node as destiny. I'm reading it in this reading. As far as like divination goes, it's showing up as destiny. So whether or not you believe the North Node is your destiny, this is coming through as a destiny kind of thing. With Aquarius, there's that humanitarian component to this. You're doing good for the greater society, the greater world, right? The world outside your little bubble is going to be affected by this. And that's kind of showing up in your crystal too. We have the Dreamcoat. There's a crystal growing within a crystal, indicating that the outside shell, right, is actually going to be beneficial, and the inside core is beneficial as well in this particular time of your life, right? So I think I'm going to end your reading there. Thank you again so much for letting me read for you. If you would like to help out the channel, please like or comment below. It does help. And with that said, I'm going to end the reading there. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I will catch you in the next pick a card. And yeah, have a good one. Hey, group 3, this is if you picked the Danburite. So let's get into your reading. Let's start with the Moonology Manifestation card. So let's see. What is group 3's lucky break? So your first card is full moon in Sagittarius. See the bigger picture. Let's roll some astro dice for you guys as well. We have the 9th house, we have Venus, and we have Gemini. Let's get some tarot cards for you guys. Let's see here. Okay. What tarot cards need to come out for group 3 on their next lucky break? Group 3, next lucky break. We have Queen of Pentacles, 5 of Wands, Page of Cups, and Justice. And I want to get some tea leaf oracle cards also for you guys. I have one there. I'll take these other 2 here. Okay. For your tea leaf oracle cards, your first one is Carrot, Opportunity or Windfall. We also have Tiger, Doing Something Risky, Taking a Chance. And then we also have Boot, Increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goals. Let's move some of these around just to get kind of like a nicer, organized table. Okay. That's pretty good. Let's move this over here like that. Okay, this reading is coming together kind of foggy, and very much like the initial look over the cards. There's very much like it seems like a lot of different messages. So it does feel like for this reading in particular, there might be a lot of people watching who have various different situations, yet the reading will apply accurately for all those people. But there's going to be a lot of different situations for this, what's going to happen. So keep that in mind. Remember, these are general readings, so sometimes one reading can reach like people who have a whole bunch of stuff going on, or different people who have various different things going on. So let's get into it first. With Queen of Pentacles here and the full moon in Sagittarius, with this being a full moon, your next lucky break is the fulfillment or completion or the peak of something. So whatever this is, you've been working on it for quite a while. So for a lot of you, you probably already know what this is. For some of you, it's going to be something that it could be something different. Like by the time we get to the end of the reading, you're like, oh, I thought it was going to be about this. It's actually about this. But with Queen of Pentacles here, this is something that you've looked to the past for, and you've been kind of following the tried and true methods to get there or to accomplish this thing. With Pentacles, it does relate to money. It does relate to wealth building. It can relate to aspects of career, especially if that career is going to provide in the future some form of security for you. So Queen of Pentacles talks about that security. It talks about nurturing, right? It's kind of the card, like usually when I see the queens, I don't know why this is the interpretation I've discovered, but it usually represents like being in 2 worlds at once. So like Queen of Cups is usually like spirit world and reality. Queen of Pentacles I see as like the past or the future and the present moment, right? Because she's looking through this crystal ball and this pentacle in the traditional Queen of Pentacles. And the pentacle reminds you of like a crystal ball. Like she's utilizing it like a crystal ball. So with the Queen of Pentacles here, this is something where you're kind of looking at a timeline for this kind of thing, which is interesting. But you have to work in the present moment is kind of the message I'm being told as well. But overall, this is something that is crossing the time barrier. So this is something that takes a long time to complete, or this is something that time is a factor. So this next lucky break could be an element on this project that is taking a lot of time, or not really taking a lot of time. It could be taking a lot of time, but that is on the time spectrum, right? So this is something that maybe you started 5 or 6 years ago and it's going to complete in 5 or 6 years, something like that. Now, for a lot of you, this full moon represents a peak. It represents a peak in this period or this process where everything is coming to this full fulfillment or culmination. So one thing you can expect in your next lucky break is a culmination of the process. So for example, especially if you've been in a situation where it's been building, there's going to be a big peak, and that is going to be a lucky peak for you guys. I'm also noticing she has like twigs or antlers in her head, and they're kind of reminding me of antenna. I'm getting the message, pay attention and listen to your surroundings. Because you never know what kind of downloads you're going to get, especially if you're spiritually in tune. I feel there's this feeling of listening or downloading higher knowledge with the antlers / twigs in her head here. That could be beneficial. I think that you guys could be getting downloads about certain things about the future in general. With the 9th house here, for a lot of you, this project, it has to do with education. So for example, you guys are working on a big project in school, or you're working on getting like your GED, that's high school. Getting like your bachelor's or a master's or something like that, or some kind of degree in a university, something like that. And with Gemini, this could deal with communication. It could deal with a lot of factual information with Gemini here rather than like philosophical information. So you could be in higher education, but you're dealing with a lot of facts and figures. So for some of you, could be like trying to get a degree in mathematics. You could be trying to get a degree in like history where you just need to know the facts. Like there's a lot of like fact, rote memorization type stuff going on here. And it seems like it's a lot of information. You do also have the full moon in Sagittarius, though, so I don't want to distract or detract from the fact that you could be having like more complex or abstract studies going on as well. Remember, like I said in the beginning of the reading, it's kind of disjointed, this reading, in the sense that it's gonna, like, this is the reading that I feel like, I'll get comments where it's like, oh my gosh, it was so accurate, but then I'll have like people sharing their stories and they're like totally different types of stories, that kind of thing. Anyway, with 5 of Wands, I feel like there's a lot of competition in this field. I think that's been something that has made you feel a little down on yourself, or made you feel like maybe I'm in the wrong field, like maybe there's not going to be a position for me, there's not going to be a job for me when this thing completes, or I'm not going to get this particular job. What I'm seeing too is like there's going to be kind of like a fresh start for you at the Page of Cups here, and it's interesting because it's a fresh start on the continuum of this major project. So we do have that Pentacles energy indicating way longer timelines. And then we have the Page of Cups indicating a more bigger surprise or a meaningful surprise on this timeline. With 5 of Wands here, there's just been a lot of competition. It feels like everyone's trying to get the same position. And you're kind of thinking like, is there enough room under the sun for me? You can think of like trees growing in the forest and how some trees don't get the sunlight because the bigger trees are taking all the sunlight, right? I think there is enough sunlight for you, because with this full moon, I think this competitive fear is going to be easing, right? 5 of Wands is a card about competition, but it's also a card about teamwork. It's just teamwork through competition. It's talking about the fact that the transformative fire of competition has made you stronger. So especially when it's something like that, this is the kind of class, for example, like if a teacher had a class where, personally, I don't know if I'm not that fond of this type of learning necessarily. Like I'd like that kind of collaborative project-based stuff. But like with 5 of Wands here, this is the type of class or teacher who says that like, only 2/3 of you are going to pass the class, and it's going to be the smartest 2/3. He's like, I don't care if you all get perfect scores. Whoever gets the most perfect score is going to pass. That kind of vibe, where there's kind of like this feeling of like we might not all make it, but in the end, it's like the teacher saying like, just kidding, you're all passing. But they use this sense of competition amongst the people in the class to get them to achieve more, right? A really good example of 5 of Wands energy, also like, you don't have to like it, but capitalism, right? Like the whole concept of, like supply and demand, like competitive markets, like that's all very much like Five of Wands energy, where it's like, oh, we got to beat out the competitor versus we're going to work with them. Actually working with the competitor is frowned upon in like financial circles and capitalism, because that's called a monopoly, right? And people don't like that, because then there's like collusion or whatever. I don't know if I'm using the right word with collusion, but anyway, that would represent a monopoly. And so Five of Wands keeps this monopoly from happening. So it keeps everyone striving for the best in and of themselves, right? And trying to achieve what they need for themselves. So that's kind of the environment you've been in. Maybe not the funnest for you guys, and there's this feeling of anxiety or worrying that like you're not going to get a spot, or that your particular project or style or whatever the thing is that you're competing for, you're not going to get a spot. I highly doubt this is a love reading. It could be, and if it is, there's a feeling that everyone wants the person you're attracted to. It's like you're attracted to someone who everyone likes, everyone's into them, and you're nervous you're never going to get a date with them, or they're never going to look your way, something like that. That can be a Five of Wands energy in a relationship type thing. Remember, this is a culmination, right? Full moon in Sagittarius, this is a culmination of kind of whatever project you've been working on, and it's kind of a peak moment, and that it's kind of coming as a lucky break, that your lucky break is going to be at the peak of this moment. This could be like, if you're in education, like I mentioned, graduating. If you're applying for jobs, this could be getting the job. The thing is, with the full moon here and the Page of Cups, there is a surprise element associated with this. So there could be a little twist of fate. For example, you try to apply for one position and they say, oh, that position we're going to give to someone else, but we have this other position that you could apply for. And maybe when you go to apply for that position, that's what you actually get, right? And that position turns out to be just like way better than the previous position. Usually Page of Cups is like beneficial surprises, pleasant surprises, synchronicities, stuff like that. With Venus here, there is a feeling of sensuality to this big surprise. So for example, Venus is a benefic and it brings ease and relaxation. It's kind of like that easy flow, pleasure seeking planet where it's all about, can be about sensory indulgences, can be about love, but the way I see it is easy, right? Like Jupiter, I kind of see as growth, where everything's getting like multiplied. Venus, I kind of see as this ease or this relaxation or something that just feels comfortable or flowy. So I do feel like this peak could bring a lot more ease and relaxation into your daily work life, or studies, education, daily work, studies, education, or romantic. Remember, if you're competing for someone romantically and this represents a break and that person finally, like coming up to you and being like, let's make it a thing, right? Venus talks about this ease, this sense of ease. That's why I want to say this competition thing is going to be released a little bit. It's like there's this security blanket when you get this peak with this full moon. When this full moon peaks in this project you're working on, there's this feeling of a security blanket surrounding you. And it's kind of like easy from that point forward, because there's this lack of competitive, like Five of Wands is very Mars kind of energy, but it's this lack of competition, right? Venus is canceling that out. Justice is interesting because you're going to feel very validated when you get this. It's like, and everyone else is going to feel validated that you got this too. So for example, people are going to tell you like, you know what, you deserve this. People might even tell you now that you deserve it. But when you get it, people are like, people come up to you and they're saying like, I'm so glad you got this. You deserved it. You deserve this position. You deserved to get this. Like, you were the one who put in the work. You were the one who put in the tough times to like achieve this, right? And I think you guys feel that too. I think there's a feeling of deservedness when you get this, like karma's rewarding you in a very beautiful way. And I think that when this happens, maybe right now you guys might not feel that deserving. You're worried about the competition. Like, this can also be like, oh, should I take this position or should someone else take it? But it's kind of like well deserved. I don't think you guys are going to get this position based off of, luck or favoritism, right? There's a very strong vibe that you're the one who deserves it. You're the one who put in the work. You're the one that's the hardest worker. You're the one that did all the work, the effort to get here, right? And you kind of won it fair and square. There's a feeling of getting this position fair and square. And, it's very much giving vibes of like no nepotism or something like that. And it's very much I think the people that you're getting the position with, or if you're achieving something, like say you're graduating and you're getting it with honors, or you're achieving some kind of position in a company, with justice here, there's a feeling that you know the company's fair because they gave you the position. You know it was fair for you to get that position, right? There could have been a situation where there's someone that the boss or the person in this situation knows, and it could be someone like someone's nephew or something like that, and you think, oh my gosh, they're probably going to give it to this person. It's so funny I said nephew because we have Page of Cups here, and that can represent like a younger person. But there's this vibe of like you think they're going to give it to them, but they don't. They give it to you, and you're like, whoa, that's totally fair. Like I put in the effort, I put in the work, and they give it to you. And so there's this feeling of justice, or a feeling of the scales truly being balanced, or everything being totally fair, right? Ninth house can indicate possible travel to this new work or this new opportunity. I'm not saying that strongly as a strong possibility, but if it resonates for you guys, like possibly moving, that would be something else. Ninth house can also indicate that this could deal with like publishing a book or publishing a body of knowledge, right? And the vibe that I'm getting with this is that maybe you're in competition with a whole bunch of other authors or book writers or screenplay, whatever it is with writing, and it's almost like you guys get published or your book gets chosen, right? And it's like you find out that, maybe you read the other books or the other manuscripts and stuff, and you really are like, okay, mine is just way better. Or like I put in the time and work, like I've been working on this book for like 15 years. And so that's for those of you who are like writers on my channel. This book is going to get really recognized in a way that makes it stand out from other material that other people have written. It's interesting with boot right next to justice, it says increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goals. And I really read this as past energy. It didn't make sense with some of these other energies that it would be in the present or that it would be in the future. This boot is kind of the past energy. With increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goals, I feel like you guys did that. I feel like you guys went through this fiery transition, right? Where you were like, man, I got to step my game up if I want to beat out the competition. And you guys did that, with this boot, you guys kind of kicked yourself in the butt and you got yourself moving, you got motivated. And that's a really cool thing. Sorry, there's a garbage truck outside. I don't know why the term take out the trash is coming to mind. For some of you, you're so focused on your goals that you forget certain things, daily chores like taking out the trash, something like that. The garbage truck is right outside. I'm going to probably wait for it to pass, but I want to get this thing across real quick about taking out the trash, right? Like you guys might have housework that needs to get done, something like that. I know this is such a random message, but sometimes these things apply to people, so I do like to say them. Okay, I think it passed. With Venus here, there's a lot more ease. It's like your lucky break of like not having to push so hard is actually coming. It's like you put in the effort to get this position and it's going to be easy from here on out, right? We have opportunity or windfall. That's kind of what I was seeing with the full moon. It's almost like some big thing is coming, and it could be associated with money, with windfall here. I do think that something with your lucky break could bring in a large sum of money as well. I think it's just like a side bonus or a bonus to that. If this is a financial reading, like I said, there's a lot of people this reading could apply for. If the whole reading has been applying with all the metaphors and stuff, but your like specific situation is financial, this is a call to tell you that the financial, the effort you're putting in is going to bring the financial returns you're looking for. With doing something risky, taking a chance, this is kind of going in with opportunity or windfall. The cards are saying that like you're in this kind of prep stage, right? With the Five of Wands and you're building and the full moon's coming. This is not a situation where you can totally sit back and just let things happen to you. Remember, this is facilitated by your hard work. The fact that you're putting in the effort to achieve your goals. This reading is by no means a reading to just say, oh yeah, you can slack off now because it's going to come, right? That's not the case here. With doing something risky, taking a chance, first of all, you're going to have to sustain the effort, right? Until the peak comes. But remember, this is your next lucky break. One group, it was possible it wasn't their next, and it was like one in the future. That was a very specific circumstance. This is your next lucky break at the time of watching this. So you can expect this to be the next major lucky break in your life. So it is coming up soon. Especially because with Queen of Pentacles, I see you guys have been on this time spectrum, right? And you do have the full moon. It's not like a continuation of a journey. It's the culmination. It's the peak point. It's kind of like the point of strongest remembrance, where like you're going to remember this moment very clearly. And with see the bigger picture, it's like, look at the bigger picture of where you've come from. What do you need to continue doing? Like, you've been through so much already. Why slow your roll now? Why stop now? You know, why slow down now? With doing something risky, taking a chance, this is kind of the energy you're going to want to integrate when you're peaking in this kind of position. So for example, with Tiger here, there's going to be a situation where jobs are going to start presenting themselves, or possibilities for like classes with a PhD or something like that are going to present themselves. I'm getting education and work for a lot of people watching this. But for example, for the person who's writing the book, this could be something like, you know, you have your book written and finished, and you really worked really hard for it, but there's something about you need to take a risk or take a chance in like submitting it somewhere, or, you know, maybe you have to push ahead with a little bit of courage and like ask someone about like reading it or something like that. There's a feeling of taking a chance and doing something a little risky. And I see that that is going to bring opportunity or windfall. I see this as kind of coming right before the peak of the experience, right before you get the thing. It's like some kind of chance that you took on something is actually going to pay out in a very surprising way. And I say surprising because for a lot of you, you might take a chance on like, for example, for this money situation, you might take a chance putting a certain finances into like a particular stock or something like that, or you might put your finances somewhere in particular if you're a financially savvy viewer of my channel. Remember, I'm not an advisor. Always follow your own judgment. And, you know, with tarot readings, it's meant to reflect things, show you possible outcomes, but you always should follow your own judgment in any situation. I would say even when you're listening to anyone, like your own judgment's going to be the best moving forward usually. So doing something risky, taking a chance, that risk or that chance is going to activate that windfall, whatever that may be for your given situation. And with see the bigger picture, just this little motto I have here, and also this guy sitting on sand dunes and how he has a bow and arrow, you know, it's very empty. The bottom of this card is very empty, and there's lots of sand. You know, you could right now with this Five of Wands energy feel like you're just one grain of sand in a sea of sand. You might be going through kind of like an existential crisis right now where you're feeling like, man, I'm just the same as everyone else, and there's billions of us on this planet. What makes me special? What makes me unique? What makes me different than anyone else? Like, why would I be any special or in any way, shape, unique compared to other people? And this can be kind of a depressing thought, especially if you've felt like you have a destiny or something like that, and you're going through a period where you feel just like everyone else. But feeling just like everyone else can also be a very beautiful thing. With see the bigger picture here, you can even look at how, like, how would I describe this? You can even look at how, like, even though a lot of people work in the service industry, we need all those people to keep the whole thing going, right? You can see the bigger picture of why we're all here together and how it's all coming together. And I do see that's like coming for you with the Page of Cups here. It's like you're going to get some surprises on why you've been feeling like you're just one of everyone else, right? You're not you, because right now that can be a very depressing thought, you know, because in truth, with the Page of Cups here, we are all unique. We are all completely different from each other. Like, you can just look at astrology and birth charts to see that everybody's chart is totally unique in its own way, essentially. So there's not really going to be a chart. I mean, unless you have like a twin or something, then you would have the same chart. And even then, there are differences in twins. Identical twins even have differences where there's certain things, because they're separate beings living separate realities and getting certain information on their own separate perspectives. Now, I'm not saying that if you have a twin, you don't have a kind of connection with your twin. That's true. But you're still separate beings. You're still experiencing things separately. You take identical twins and separate them. You know, they're going to have these different experiences. Sometimes I think identical twins, sometimes, what's it called, come to the same end point, or like they learn the same lessons maybe sometimes. I'm not the master on this subject because I've only read like some studies and like cursorily looked over them like in a superficial way. I haven't really like dug deep. But yeah, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that you guys are an individual and you have your own individual experience, you have your own individual reality. Even though you feel like you're just one of a billion, that is something that perspective, in the way that it feels depressing right now, is going to feel empowering later, right? In that way, this is kind of the energy with this Five of Wands that you're learning right now, that like, instead of feeling disempowered, because this is what the Five of Wands talks about, instead of feeling disempowered by all the competition and the fact that you're only one, and maybe you feel like you don't stand out compared to other people, maybe you work really hard, but you're feeling like, I don't have any unique characteristics, I don't know anyone very special, or I don't know anyone in high places. There could be a feeling of just not feeling like you provide a lot. Even though you guys work your butt off, I'm seeing you guys have really pushed ahead for this goal, right? The truth is that all these grains of sand can be utilized, right? Every grain of sand is a connection you can make, someone who can help you on your journey, someone who's going to have some kind of inspiring advice. Remember, don't follow too much advice. Like, follow your own judgment. But I'm always going to preach that. But yeah, there's this feeling of like learning from people and growing with people. You can turn this Five of Wands into the Three of Pentacles, which is teamwork. It's about collaboration. It's about working together. So you can turn this feeling of alienation through competition into reaching out and getting help, asking someone about this. And I think once you get this full moon completion in your journey, where you actually get this position, or you get this windfall, or you get that book deal, whatever the case may be, having that safety net of like, okay, I have this particular thing, it's like this feeling of abundance that loosens your boundaries with other people and gets you to maybe start collaborating. I definitely see a lot of you, like, for example, if you write a book or you write something, collaborating with other writers or getting in touch with different editors or something like that. For others of you, maybe you're working on a particular craft by yourself or something like that. You might start doing like collaborative work with people, something like that. Where before and up to this point, you've had to learn how to individuate yourself and make yourself stand out compared to other people. And it just feeling like an impossible job, like you're just in a sea of tons of people like that are all the same. This thing coming for you, once you achieve this kind of success, makes you realize that like, there's this kind of transformation, I guess you could say, with your lucky break, where you're realizing, you know what, we can work together. We don't have to work against each other. And it's a very strong realization. And it is very much the way the universe works, and the way the universe rewards good luck, and the universe rewards persistence and effort. Remember, it doesn't have to be this like depressing thing of like, like, oh, how do I stand out compared to other people? I'm just the same as everyone else. Because that's kind of, in a way, a lack mindset of like how you can contribute on an individual level. I do think once this big thing happens, we see the bigger picture, you're going to start to see how every little person in your world has something individual to contribute that is like a strength, right? Like every single person has a strength. And you're going to start viewing people like that. Like, what can they contribute to my project? What kind of strengths do they have where they can contribute to my project? How can I contribute to them, right? Instead of seeing everyone as the same, you're starting to see everyone as different. And in that way, it's creating a unity in your environment. It's creating a unity in how you see the world. And that's kind of the major spiritual lesson with this whole journey and this whole path. With Queen of Pentacles, I do want to say that this next lucky break, I know it's coming next, but I don't know where you guys are at on the timeline of your project or whatever you're working on. So for example, I don't know if like this job opportunity is coming by next week. I don't know if this job opportunity or windfall or book deal or whatever, you have to apply it to your situation. Remember in the beginning of the reading, I said there's going to be so many different things this could be. But I feel like everyone's going to relate to this. That's kind of the energy here. I'm only using a few examples because I can't think of like all 25 of them or whatever that you guys are going to be experiencing when you're watching this reading. But with Queen of Pentacles, right, it's talking about that timeline. You're on this timeline. So how do I put this? Like, especially with the antlers here, if you want to get specific moments of the timeline, I would tune into your higher self. Ask your higher self when these certain things are going to happen, or when you can approach something. Getting signs from the universe, having your antenna tuned in, could help with the timeline aspect of knowing what's going on the timeline. Let me see. There's one last thing I wanted to say. Yeah, with the timeline, I'm not sure when this will happen for you guys. I know it's your next lucky break, but I'm not sure when. And I want to say maybe you'll even have lucky breaks before this, but this is your next major lucky break. This is the lucky break that you needed to hear about today. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I think with that, I'm going to end your reading, and I will catch you guys in the next pick a card. If you want to help out the channel, you can like or comment below. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks again for watching. It was an honor to read for you, and catch you later. Bye. Hey, Group 4, welcome to your reading. All about what your next lucky break is. So let's get right into it. I'm going to pull a Moonology Manifestation card right now for you guys. Group 4's next lucky break. And we have Full Moon in Aquarius, Be Real. Let's get some tarot cards for you guys. We need 4 tarot cards for Group 4 on what their next lucky break is going to be. We have Knight of Wands, we have 7 of Cups, we have Knight of Pentacles, and we have Temperance. Okay, let's get your tea leaf cards on the table now. Let's see, I'm feeling called to pull 3 from the middle. And your tea leaf cards are Dog Barking, Advice from a Friend. We have Vase, Secret Admirer. And we also have Cracked Cup, Distraction. Oh, I read Distraction with Life, but it says Dissatisfaction with Life. Why did I read Distraction? Maybe that's a message. Okay, so let's roll the Astro Dice for you guys. We have Venus, Taurus, and the 4th house. Let me line these all up so they're... Let's move these over a little bit. Sorry, I have like this need to have like everything look balanced on the screen. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, it just got darker. The light, I have my window open, and so the light might fluctuate in today's reading, which is kind of cool because sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but on like a day where there's clouds in the sky and the sun is going in between like the clouds and like revealing itself and not revealing itself, or kind of hiding and stuff like that. Sometimes that illuminates things in my mind. If I'm thinking about something, I kind of take it as a sign or a big pivotal moment. And so those are really great days to actually do psychic work as far as like external signs go. So maybe that's something that you guys are into or something like that, or maybe that you could utilize a cloudy day like that, something along those lines. Just a little side message before we get into the reading. Okay, so let's get into your reading. Some pieces are not coming to me, but I think they will as the reading goes on. So let's get started. I see that there is a feeling with this group. Most of you are moving out of a bad relationship. With the Knight of Wands here, this was a person who was a very passionate connection. It was very fiery, but there was too much aggression, is kind of what I'm saying. There was too much aggression. There was too much hostility. I mean, I think passions were flying with this person. I think if you guys were having sex, the sex was phenomenal. But with Knight of Wands here, it's just this feeling of like, this person's too much. Like there's too much passion for me to handle. And I think you guys went through kind of like a trial run with someone like this. And I think maybe this was a new thing. Like you've never been with someone this passionate before, but you're coming out of a breakup, or this passionate person from your past is a pivotal moment in this reading right now. I think that there's this cycle that you're in, a relationship cycle. Now, the moons I'm reading is as points on this cycle. Now, it doesn't have to be necessarily within a moon cycle, although it could be. Maybe, you know, on the new moon, you got into this passionate fling, and then on the full moon, you meet this person, this Knight of Pentacles person, who's more stable, more like even more attractive, but just more sensual in in general, like someone who's more practical, someone who's more grounded, someone who's more realistic, possibly someone who's also slower moving too. But with full moon in Aquarius, this doesn't have to be necessarily a cycle when it comes to the moon cycles. This could be a cycle in astrology with your Venus, right? This could be a cycle with any planet in your astrology that maybe rules relationships. You can look to that planet. But it is a cycle for that planet. So when that planet is at, like it starts out at a certain degree, probably the degree that you were born with, right? So like when Venus hits the degree where your Venus was actually, where you have that placed in your chart, then when it comes to the exact opposite, that could be the full kind of manifestation of this person or this next person. So you can look to things in your chart. Obviously you would have to consult with a professional astrologer. I am not like an astrology buff. Like I get divination messages about astrology, but by no means do I like know, exactly what, like I'm not an astrologer. I'll just put it that way. So if you're looking to get an astrology reading, I would encourage that. It's coming through in this reading that could help you determine the timing of events. Just make sure you keep it relationship focused, because your next blessing coming in is a relationship. It's a new person. I really think that you got some advice from a friend in this cycle. And one thing that's going to happen before your lucky break is your friend is going to you're going to get a really good advice from someone, because I'm seeing right here with the Seven of Cups, there's this feeling of confusion, not knowing who to choose, not knowing what's going to lead where, something like that. Like we have a few ladders in here where it's like, it shows that you want to ascend, you want to grow, you want to become a bigger and better person and improve your relationships. But with the snake swimming out from the red cup, it's like there's always that snake in the grass, or there's always that person who's kind of like a snake, that like you kind of fall into this pattern of, you pick up a cup and there is a snake underneath, or you pick up a cup and right here we have like a bat wing or something. So there's all this feeling of like not knowing the personality you're getting involved with before it's too late. And you guys have kind of run into this trap before of kind of like, how do I put it? Like running into someone, thinking they're great and then realizing they're not, right? It could be something like that. And it just comes from this general confusion. Seven of Cups is like this guy, he's confused, he's paralyzed by all these options. And each option represents a different thing. Like one option could be someone who's very beautiful. The other option could be something that's very scary. The other option could be something where there's a lot of money involved, stuff like that. So with the Seven of Cups, it talks about this idea of options, but also this sense of confusion and being paralyzed. So with the Cups energy, this is emotional energy, this is sentimental energy, this is stuff that means a lot to you. So there could be a feeling of trying to make a decision when it comes to a relationship and not being able to make a good decision. Now, I do see with advice from a friend, you might have multiple people coming into your life that you get to choose from in this next period of time. There'll be a lot of options. There'll be a lot of people, but you won't really know who to choose, right? And you're coming out of this negative relationship. So I feel for you guys. Your confidence is a little shaken. You're not quite sure if this last person, if it's going to repeat itself, and you have a few different options coming up. I also want to say that you guys are my group. You're very charismatic. You will always have options in love. And it's nothing you're really doing. It has nothing to do with your physical appearance. It has nothing really to do with your personality. That is just your lot in life. It makes sense why you like my channel and looking at all the crush videos and stuff, because I feel like you guys have lots of crushes and lots of people who are obsessed with you or who like you too. You might cycle through relationships pretty quickly. We do have Venus here, which is a faster moving planet. So if that rules your relationships, you could be a Scorpio or an Aries, something like that. There's a feeling that it moves kind of quickly is kind of what I'm saying. For those of you where it doesn't, this is definitely a longer term thing. And this one person burned you so bad that for the ever since you met them, you went through a transformation where you've not been able to choose the correct relationship, and you've almost had a hesitancy in committing to people. I'm seeing that strongly. So there's a feeling of a hesitancy of trying to commit. There's this feeling of not knowing what you're getting into, and that's one of the reasons why you don't commit. And people might not understand this. They might think about you. They might think, they are emotionally unavailable. You guys may have been told you're emotionally unavailable, but the truth is you just need to know what you're getting into. And you don't know what you're getting into until it's too late. Now, the great thing is with advice from a friend, you're getting advice about this topic from a friend, and that's one of the main lucky breaks that's coming in, or it's starting off the lucky break, because your friend gives you this pivotal piece of advice. I'm not sure what it is, but it triggers this ability to trust in relationships again. And it triggers this ability to look for certain things in people. This advice from a friend could be something about your personality and what they think you should be with in a relationship. And it just hits a chord in you. It's not necessarily like they're telling you something and it's a struggle to listen to. It's like something they're telling you and it hits a chord and you're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And it just really solidifies this new opinion in you. That's when this person comes in, this Knight of Pentacles. This person is a secret admirer. This person hasn't come forward with their feelings for you. This person with the Pentacle energy could be someone who's liked you for quite a while, but you've never given them a chance, something like that. It could be someone who is new, but at the same time, new in a sense where they've always been around, but they've never talked to you about their attractions to you. So really, they're not on your radar. This is someone who maybe is an acquaintance or someone you met once. I would even say, if you're in this reading trying to think of who this person is, I would stop right now. This is someone you're not gonna realize has a crush on you. This is someone just a casual acquaintance, but, and it's not even that they're coming forward with, it's hard to explain. It's not that they're coming forward with their feelings, right? They've admired you secretly for quite a while. They've always thought you were attractive. Maybe they felt like they never had a chance with you, or you were too charismatic for them, something like that. But when we had this where I read distraction with life, remember? This says dissatisfaction with life, but what I'm seeing and I'm reading is distraction with life. And that's the message that I want to pull up. With this kind of image of the cups too. First of all, these cups are upside down and they're covering the options. They're making it so you cannot see what's underneath the cups. But with this advice from a friend, we have a cracked cup here. This cup has fully broken and it's like you get the little treat inside the egg. Like, I don't know if you guys celebrate Easter where you're at, but we have these like eggs for Easter and like you crack them open and there's like candy inside, or like they're like plastic eggs and people put candy in them and stuff like that and they hide them around. It's like, you don't know what's in the egg, but then with the cracked cup, it's like what's under the cup is revealed, right? And you can see the people clearly, right? Now, this is interesting because I do see that with the Knight of Pentacles, you're kind of brought into contact with this person in a very easy manner. We have the Venus card here. This is going to feel very pleasurable, very easy, very comfortable is kind of the vibe that I'm feeling. With the Knight of Pentacles here, this person is pretty stable. I think this person is, I don't think they're unemotional. That's something that's coming through strongly, that they're not unemotional. This person has emotions. They share their emotions, but they're stable, especially financially. Financially, they're stable. They got their shit together. They're slower moving, like they're like long-term focused, I guess you could say, and they're not afraid to work hard. Yeah. So with the cracked cup, it says distraction with life. This person is coming in as almost like a distraction from your daily routine. This person, you'll be thrown in with them. I think there's going to be some periods where you have like goals in mind during this period. You've had this advice from the friend, you've had this epiphany, but other things are distracting you from relationships at this time. And it says distraction with life in general. So other things in your life you could be distracted by. So for example, maybe you normally keep a clean house, and maybe you're kind of distracted with trying to keep up with that. Or maybe there's something where you're distracted with your job. And there's just this overall feeling that you guys will be distracted with life in general. It's almost like how you live your life, your lifestyle. You won't be fully present, right? Now, that's where this person comes along. You'll accidentally kind of run into this person is kind of what I'm seeing, or that the universe will throw you together. Like, you do not have to seek this person out. They do not have to seek you out. No one has to make a first move. The energy is you'll be sat side by side each other, and you will have to have a conversation. And it's someone you've known. It's like an acquaintance and stuff. So there's just feelings of being pushed into a situation with this person that the universe is kind of pushing you into. You can kind of think of this as like fate. Like, it's like, well, yeah, I would have never picked them and they would have never picked me, but we just happen to be sitting side by side at this restaurant with like a whole group of friends, and we're all at someone's birthday party, and I start talking to them because they're sitting next to me, and they start talking to me because they're sitting next to me. You know those connections that start like that, where it's like you just talk to the person on your left or your right just because you're sitting there and you can't hear anyone else at the table, so you're kind of forced into that conversation. It's something along those lines. We are coming together with a person in that kind of moment. So this is the interesting thing, because you realize with the Knight of Pentacles that this person stabilizes you in this period of time where you're very distracted with your life. It's like after you spend time with them, you're a little bit more organized, you're a little bit more put together, you have a little bit more clarity when it comes to, how do I put this? When it comes to paying attention and focusing on things. Now, with Be Real here, I really feel like this person coming in has a very real energy. They have a very authentic energy, and they bring out the authenticity in you, right? If you kind of put on a role with people in the past, or you've kind of played or skewed the facts a little bit when it comes to presenting yourself to other people, this person brings out that authenticity, and the full moon Aquarius is really bringing up being real. And it might even be a little bit of a tension because we have Taurus energy here with the Aquarius, and those are square to each other. But there's this feeling of, how do I put it? Like this feeling that you can be authentic. You can be authentically yourself, and it feels very comfortable. Now, with the Temperance card, this leads to a feeling of having total balance in your life, right? It's like you had this period where you were distracted with your life, and you were kind of, you could have dropped things with the cracked cup, or you could have lost track of time, something like that, a little unorganized. But once you meet this person, there's this feeling of organization, and there's this feeling of bringing parts of your darkness into your light. Now, that's a side message. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. But that's also another message coming through, that you're bringing parts of yourself that were in the darkness and you're showing them the light. And you're bringing parts of yourself that were shining and bright and light, effervescent, and you're pulling them within to give yourself a little bit more inner joy. Now, that's just a side message in the reading. So if that only resonates for some of you, let it be. But with this Temperance card, there's a strong sense of balance in your daily routine, right? There's a feeling of, I think your schedule is going to get more routinized. And for some of you, you're like, no, I wouldn't want that. I like to be spontaneous. But overall, this is a good thing, because if you think about a lot of your spontaneity in the past and what you've been going through recently, there's this feeling that your spontaneity has been a little chaotic or has caused you some issues in your life. So this routine, this order, is not going to feel stifling. It's going to come from within you, right? It's an energetic thing. It's not like this Knight of Pentacles is imposing order on you. It's just that they have a very grounded sense of self, so it puts you into reality a little bit more. You guys might be the types that are really drawn to, grounding crystals like obsidian, tourmaline, jet. I think even shungite's pretty grounding. But there's this feeling you're drawn to very grounding crystals, which is like black or red stones, right? This feeling of putting yourself in the reality again and taking yourself out of your head, because your headspace is pretty clouded and it's causing you a little bit of confusion. Anyway, you get this balance in your routine. You get this balance in your schedule. And with the sun and the moon here, the dark planet and the light planet, there's this feeling of kind of having your day and night schedules balanced and having better sleep as well. Now, with the fourth house here, this is just indicating the time and place where you'll be hanging out with this person as time goes on. I think that this person is going to be a more long-term connection, or someone who's going to last at least for a year in your life. I know you guys, for some of you who go through relationships more rapidly, there could be a high chance this person lasts for a year. And I don't think there's a feeling of them being destructive or anything, and that's why you have to get away from them in a year, something like that. There's this feeling that they might actually like move away, or because the way you're brought together is very like circumstantial, there's this feeling that the way you move apart is very circumstantial as well. Now, for a lot of you, this is a very long-term connection. This is a marriage material. This is someone who's going to be a very long-term committed relationship. It's giving that kind of vibe. But with the fourth house here, you guys will be spending a lot of time alone, discussing intimate secrets. There's something about your guys' families being similar, like you both having similar moms or both having similar dads, something like that. And with the Taurus energy here, this is the long-term zodiac sign. That's why for most of you, this is a very long-term compatible relationship, because Taurus is slow and steady, but it's like once Taurus gets moving, and any of the fixed signs really, once they get moving, they stay moving for a long time. You know, cardinal signs is that first burst, that first spark, that kind of, you know, it's that initiative taking. It's kind of like, oh, I like you and I want you and I'll pick you. So there is a lot of like solo energy, or how do I put it? Like not selfish energy. That's not the word I want. Self-motivated energy to be in a relationship, you know, almost despite the other person's interest in you. And mutable is just someone who's kind of distracted by relationships, like all over the place. Like they like this person, they also like this person. Mutable people, it's like that open relationship vibe. But you have this Taurus, very fixed, committed vibe, right? And no matter what your zodiac signs are, I know I'm just bringing up zodiac signs. You're probably thinking, well, I'm not like that, or I'm like this. You know, the chart's very complicated. That's why I would suggest an astrology reading if you guys know a good astrologer and you trust them and stuff. But with the Taurus energy here, right? It's a long-term kind of commitment. It's fixed. It's grounded with the Earth energy. This person could even be a Taurus or have Taurus placements. And with Venus here, it's very easy. It's very harmonious. It's no effort. It's just the easiest kind of type of relationship, right? It's that ease and harmony. It's that working together. There's no conflict. It's something that's very long deserved for you guys, honestly. And that's your next lucky break. It's going to be in relationships. It's going to be a new person coming in that is grounded, easy, stable, long lasting. That's kind of the energy here. And with Knight of Wands here, you're going to be like at the point where you've totally like, man, you're going to laugh about this person and kind of like the energy for this. And I really think with this Seven of Cups and this advice from the friend, after their advice, you're going to hold them in very high regard, because this advice catalyzed something in you, and you'll always remember this friend. You'll remember this friend's advice more than you'll remember this person. Like this person will be more of a faded memory. And I think maybe even you'll get a bonus out of your next lucky break where you'll have this friend that you can go back to and talk to and stuff like that. For some of you, if you're in therapy, this advice, and you view your therapist as your friend, maybe, I know this is probably like not like allowed, but I'm feeling this vibe of like you have a therapist or a friend that's like a therapist, and you guys go out like dancing or drinking, or you guys go out to like parks and just chill. Wherever you guys go, there's this feeling of like, this is the friend that you talk to about things, and you guys set up times every once in a while to talk, stuff like that. Full moon in Aquarius, this is a peak moment, right? This is the culmination of all the relationship drama, all the relationship indecision, I feel like this Knight of Wands started the cycle of this relationship indecision, right? This started the cycle of this confusion of not knowing who people are. You know, this is a period where I'm going to have trouble finding the good in why you were going through it, but that's oftentimes the case because I'm not the one meant to find the lesson here, you know? With the Seven of Cups here, this could have been just a pretty distracted, dark time where you just were like, I don't know who people are anymore. I can't tell their motives. I don't know what they want. I don't know their personalities. It kind of left you lost. But because you were only shaken up by this Knight of Wands, once you get the advice from the friend, it unlocks this, and circumstantially you'll come into this Knight of Pentacles energy. I would even say the advice from the friend could be the peak of this experience, and kind of the come down of the moon back to a new moon is this relationship where you used your intuition, your true intuition, not your doubts and your fears, and you realize this person's really good for you, and you have that kind of relationship. So it's almost the feeling of like, the way I'm seeing it is the longer this doubt went on after this relationship, the longer you were in doubt and not being able to choose a partner. That's the same length of time. If you just measure that time out, that's the same length of time with the Knight of Pentacles that this person will be coming into your life. All right, I think that's about it for your guys' reading. Thank you for letting me read for you. If you want to help out the channel, please like or comment below. With that said, I'll catch you guys in the next pick a card. And I wanted to say bon voyage to you guys, right? Like maybe you guys are going on a trip soon. I don't know. Anyway, see you later. Bye. Hey, group 5. That was 4 or 5. 5, if you pick the Aquamarine, this is your reading. So let's get into it. Let's get you a Moonology Manifestation card to start. Let's see. Group 5, Lucky Break. Let's see, Group 5, what is their next lucky break? Let's see. We have New Moon, Sagittarius, focus on the positive. And let's pull some tarot cards for you. What is Group 5's next lucky break? Let's get some tarot cards for Group 5. We have the 4 of Cups, we have the 7 of Swords, we have the 8 of Wands, and we have the 9 of Wands. Now let's get some tea leaf cards for you guys. Pulling these 3. Okay. And your... here, there we go. I'm trying to organize these as okay. So your tea leaf cards are hills, obstacles to overcome, lightning, control your anger, you'll be sorry, and tortoise, slowly but surely getting ahead. Okay, now let's roll the astro dice. We have Neptune, we have Leo, and we have the 7th house. Hey everyone, welcome back to your reading. Sorry, I cut right in between and starting the reading, and because it's been like a few days since I've done it. So fun little note about your reading, about your next lucky break. I had all the cards set out on the table, and then I went to go get the messages for your reading, and I drew a complete blank. This has never happened to me before, where I looked at all the cards and drew a complete blank on literally every card. And I was like, what is going on? I need to come back to this tomorrow. And then it's been a couple days. So now I'm coming back to your reading. I set up everything just like it was. So let me look at this and we'll get into your reading. Okay, let's get into your reading. As I looked over the cards, all the messages are coming to me very clearly today. So that's good, a good sign. So you guys picked the Aquamarine. First of all, I want to point out that the Aquamarine is a stone, and this does relate to your reading, what this stone represents. It's a stone about travel in like ancient cultures, right? Sailors would wear aquamarine so they would have safe trips overseas. We also have the Neptune energy here. So it's funny you were drawn to the Aquamarine because we do have the theme of the ocean, but Neptune kind of rules the seas and the oceans and stuff like that. And Neptune in of itself is kind of representative of the ocean. You know, if you think about the ocean, if you are kind of in the middle of the ocean and you don't know, if you don't see land anywhere, there's this feeling of being so lost in deep waters, you know, and not knowing where you can anchor yourself. And that's kind of coming through a little bit with Neptune. And in a way, it's also coming through in your reading. Now, don't be scared. This is actually something that your body and your soul is looking forward to. So this Neptune energy is actually something you're looking forward to. I'm going to get into a little bit about your past so you can know what the next lucky break's going to be, because you are being rewarded for this kind of karmic thing. So with 4 of Cups and 7 of Swords, first of all, this represents you and another person. I think that you are over here with this other person. This other person, it seems a little shady, I'm not going to lie. Because it is the 7 of Swords, so I do want to point that out, that this person could be kind of shady. You could be dealing with someone who's a little shady. This is just someone in general who you kind of are not entertaining. You're not entertaining their antics. You're not entertaining their behavior. This is someone who in their wake leaves like disgruntled people. This person leaves people in their wake who are a little bit like flustered by their presence. They're like, oh, I can't believe they said that to me, or I can't believe they did this to me, or how come they were like this? It's like this person that you've been in a relationship with. For some of you, it's romantic. For most of you, this is a friend. This is just someone you've been kind of hanging out with casually, and you're kind of judging to see if you want to pull them into the inner circle. But yeah, there's this vibe of like, you're kind of bored with their antics, right? And you're kind of realizing this person's not meant for you. This is not a good person for you. They keep trying to offer you things. They keep trying to offer you this cup. And, you know, to them and to you and to other people, it could seem like full of rainbows. It could seem full of good fortune. You know, it's interesting how your next lucky break is coming because you turned down some kind of offer in the past, right? And so with this person, they offered you something. But here's the thing, the vibe that I'm getting is because the Seven of Swords in this particular, he's stolen these feathers from these birds, these ravens, right? And he's come over here to offer it to you. And you're bored with it. You don't take the offer. You don't take the gift. You're like, I don't even want that, right? The vibe that I'm getting is this gift wasn't theirs to give. So it could be something along the lines of either something stolen, something that's gossip, as far as like they were offering you information about a person and they expected you to be like thrilled by hearing this information, or they wanted you to react a specific way because they told you this information, and you're realizing, you know what, like I don't care that you gave me that information. Like that information doesn't bother me. You might even know the person very well that they're talking crap about, right? And it's like, you know the person so well, the information doesn't bother you. Maybe you already knew it, right? And this person's very shocked, right? They felt like they were offering you this golden truth, or they felt like they were offering you this tidbit of information, or it could have, for some of you, it was a physical gift. They offered you a physical gift that they actually were giving that was not theirs to give. It was someone else's. But whatever the case may be, it could be even information that they copied from somewhere. If some of you guys are in the field of art, or you're in the field where intellectual property is important, they could be giving you something or posting something that's not theirs to post, and they wanted to see your reaction, and you guys were just kind of bored with what they were offering. This is actually a good thing that you did this, because this kind of repelled them a little bit. It made them realize that they don't really have anything to give you, and they can't get a reaction out of you. And because they can't get a reaction out of you, your energy right here is going to manifest this whole brand new thing. Like you're going to manifest this whole big lucky break, right? For some of you, I'm saying that this person did bother you, but you didn't show it on the outside that they bothered you. You just kept it internally, and you said, okay, I don't really like this person. I'm going to move away from them. That's kind of the vibe that I got here. So this manifests in a bigger thing in your life. With the lightning, real quick, this is relating back to the relationship. With control your anger or you'll be sorry, I really feel like this person could have irritated you for some of you, and you really had to work on controlling your rage around this person, and you did a phenomenal job. The universe is applauding you. I will applaud you right now. Yeah, you guys did an amazing job. You kept your cool. For some of you, this was a lesson that you had to learn. And some of you maybe didn't keep your cool. Maybe you did get angry at this person. Maybe you did react to this person in the past, you know? But this moment where you didn't react, that's what graduated you from this experience, right? With control your anger, you'll be sorry. For some of you, this was a big lesson in controlling your own anger, and stopping yourself from reacting negatively to certain things that are provoking you from the outside. So this was a good thing. And the reason why this was a good thing, I believe immediately after you didn't react to them or you controlled your anger, there was this feeling of liberation. There's a feeling of rational thought where you thought to yourself, like, you know what? Like, I don't need this person. I don't need people like this in my life. I don't need people handing me pieces of gossip and stolen goods, and I don't need people giving me stuff that is making other people upset. Like, I don't need this kind of stuff, you know? I don't benefit from this ever. I don't know why this person thinks I benefit from this. And it's the feeling of getting angry when someone gives you a gift. It's like this gift makes you angry. It's like, why did you get me that? Like, I don't need this. This could also be the kind of energy where if you're sober and you're trying to get off of drugs, or you're in AA or something like that, this is the type of person who's like offering you a drink all the time. They're like offering you a drink, or even worse, they're like offering you a drink and trying to buy it off someone else's tab, something like that. You're really getting over this person, and it's bringing in this next blessing, this next lucky break. First of all, you have Leo here. So this next period of life, you will be the center of attention. You will be the star. Maybe this person took a lot of attention because they provoked people. This is not attention that's positive or glowing. This is the kind of attention where people are angry at them and they attract a lot of antagonism, so that's why they're the center of attention. But with the Leo energy here, you are attracting attention because you've been a good person. You're following your best ethical path forward. You're learning what you do and don't want in life. I think you're releasing this sense of anger that you have been reacting to people. And I'm not saying it wasn't justified. You guys might be saying like, well, it was justified. It could have been justified, but you're evolving. The next step in your life is you're evolving to a new state of being where you're less angry in general because you're less reactive. You're not letting people push your buttons. With focus on the positive and new moon in Sagittarius, this is a new moon. This is a brand new beginning. This is something that at the time you're watching this reading, you have not thought about before. This is something new on the horizon that is coming into your life. With Eight of Wands, this is going to come in suddenly. I do think that this is, well, first of all, it's a trip. We have Sagittarius here, which represents epic quests. Right? Sagittarius is kind of that epic quest card, that adventurer card. You know, it's ruled by Jupiter, which is always expanding. And Sagittarius is a fire sign, so it's expanding in the outer reality. It's like, I want more, I want this, I want that. You know, and so with Eight of Wands here, this is coming in suddenly. It's this insatiable appetite for adventure. This insatiable appetite for adventure. With the 7 here representing relationships, this is just reiterating, and it was kind of a confirmation mainly for me that this was about a relationship. But with 7 here, you could actually meet a new person on this quest or on this kind of experience as you're traveling, right? With slowly but surely getting ahead, I do think that during this trip, it's like the vibe that I'm getting, because this doesn't resonate with the quick pace of the Eight of Wands, right? That's one of the reasons why it seems like a separate message. But I do think with the Nine of Wands here, if you are meeting a person, you're going to meet someone who's very slow and steady. Someone who's very slow and steady. The tortoise and the shell is reminding me of Cancer energy, where the crab protects itself. So this person could be a Cancer. And you're represented here as Leo energy. So I'm getting the vibe of the sun and the moon, right? Like, you're the sun and this person's the moon. So this person could reflect you in some ways if you're meeting this person on your trip. The other aspect of this would be if you're meeting this person if you're going on this trip, the trip reflecting you in some way. So for example, you've gone and you've kind of figured out like who you want to become, how you want to be, what you are and are not going to react to. You've kind of figured out that secret to control your anger, and the universe is like, great, she can go on this trip. So now that you're on this trip, you've taken that calm center within you and you bringing it on this trip, and you're shining, right? Whoever is on this trip or that you encounter on this journey, right? And Neptune does indicate overseas travel. I'm not going to lie. Neptune can indicate that, can indicate traveling overseas. You also pulled the Aquamarine, which can indicate traveling overseas. Aquamarine, real quick message, is also a stone of joy. It can help you deal with sorrow and pain, and it can help bring joy back into your life. It's funny, I feel extra talkative during this reading, and Aquamarine does that. It makes people chatty, you know? So you might actually be feeling a little more talkative when you go on this trip. With Nine of Wands here, this person is confident that you're meeting, or the people that you're meeting on the trip are confident. Like I said, these could be people you get crushes on the trip. You could realize on this trip that you're attracted to people from foreign countries, or you have an attraction to them at this time. Remember, your Sagittarius the Sagittarius energy is very active. So is the Leo energy. This is fiery energy. You also have 2 Wands card for your blessing. This is jam-packed full of action. I'm not going to lie. Your trip is jam-packed full of action. With the tortoise slowly but surely getting ahead, you are appearing in these people's lives that are on the trip like a firefly in the night, right? Like you're appearing and visiting with a certain amount of people on this trip, and then you're going to visit with someone else, right? You're kind of that person, like, I don't know if you guys remember that person in school that kind of was a part of every clique. Like, they didn't really just belong to one clique or another. They kind of traveled between different cliques, and they kind of kept an eye on everything. This is kind of you guys with slowly but surely getting ahead. This is referring to growth. You're keeping track of other people's growth. You're learning from other people's growth. So on this trip, you're learning from other people's stories, what they've been through, where they've been through. And so this lucky break is really meeting amazing people. It's like you had to put up with this person and this person who irritated you and kind of made you angry. But now you're realizing it's like, whoa, I'm meeting these amazing people. They have these amazing stories. I'm learning so much from them. This is the reading where your lucky break is an influx of experience. You're going to get so much experience. And it's interesting because these stories, like I mentioned with the moon and the sun and the moon, with the Cancer energy, with the tortoise and the Leo energy here, you're the one shining, right? You're the one shining, but all the people you meet are like little moons. You can think of yourself on a planet like Jupiter. I think Jupiter has multiple moons. Whichever planet would have multiple moons, you're kind of you're kind of that energy, right? Where you're experiencing multiple moons. All these people are going to reflect parts of yourself that you're reflecting outward. So this next phase of life, remember, it's a new beginning. This is totally different than this kind of energy. For a lot of you, you're not going to see this coming. You're not even going to see the energy burst that's coming ahead of you. You might even be in a period of time where you are feeling a little lethargic. You're feeling a little confused. You're feeling a little lost, something like that. But overall, with this energy, there's this new burst of energy. There's this feeling of wanting to explore. And for most of you, I do see this as physical exploration with the Eight of Wands here, the Neptune. There's a lot of feelings of physical, like a lot of signs about physical exploration. So a lot of this lucky break is pretty much a vacation somewhere where you don't even know the culture. You don't even know the people, but for some reason, you just click with them all. You're discovering a place in the world where you can have a true enlightening experience, right? The lightning bolt also represents, you have like lightning in enlightening, the word, so with lightning here, there's this illumination, it's an inward illumination. So this is the cool thing about your next lucky break is you just get this kind of epiphanies. Eight of Wands can talk about that too, like brilliant messages from the universe, synchronicities, stuff like that. With hills, obstacles to overcome, this hills is really coming through specifically where you might take a vacation to a place where there are hills, where there are a lot of hills to traverse and stuff like that. And with the sunset in the background, sunsets and could be particularly beautiful on this trip. So wherever you're going, wherever there's hills and nature, like rolling hills, there's this feeling of sunsets being particularly beautiful. The sky might have a particular cloudscape or skyscape in the sky when you go on this trip. And you kind of realize, I'm seeing that again with the clouds and lightning. I'm seeing the sky being significant as a thing to reflect on, as you're taking deep breaths in between your adventures and meeting people and experiencing this place that you're going to. There's this feeling of looking at the sky and taking it all in and absorbing this information. This is very much a heavenly, divinely inspired trip. You're going to a place, okay, this is, sorry, I had to catch myself there. For some of you, this place feels like heaven. For others of you, this place feels more like an adventure, like you're in Lord of the Rings or something. This is kind of a vibe of like a really wonderful, amazing journey, right? It's a really amazing vacation coming for you. In the least, of what's going to happen for like all of you watching this, a vacation. It's a vacation coming, and you're going to really get along well with the locals. It's like the people and the culture where you're going are really like happy or positive, and you're really like, wow, this is amazing. Like I haven't met people like this in a while. Like a lot of people I know in my inner circles, or not really in your inner circles, but people that you are like, what's it called? Vetting to be in your inner circle kind of were causing you irritation. And this is kind of a new like experience, maybe you guys have been stuck in one spot for a very long time or had a little bit of low energy for a very long time. This lucky break is an adventure, a vacation, a new experiences. With slowly but surely getting ahead, I really feel like after this vacation, it's going to put you on a determined course. I feel like you're going to be very determined when you get back home or when you resettle into your old life. For some of you, you're even going to be thinking about, with the Nine of Wands here, leaving your old life behind, feeling like it was exhausting you. And for those of you where you vacation here and you really want to make the permanent move, I do see that. I do see a permanent move being made to this new place for those of you who want to do that and have the means and are able to do that. Others of you, when you get back to your hometown, when you get back to where you live, with the tortoise here, slowly but surely getting ahead, I see determination. I see solid determination to make your life better, to advance yourself in life. And it's motivation that comes from within. It's not like external. It's not like you're forcing yourself to do this. It's not like you're covering up your own laziness and you're like making yourself do something that you don't want to do. This is intrinsic, internal motivation coming from within, coming from this trip, really growing and learning. Because Sagittarius is all about learning, expanding our perspective, expanding our knowledge base. A lot of Sagittariuses love to know things. They love to learn and know. And there's this feeling of epic quests and epic journeys with Sagittarius. And I really feel like it's very enlightening. Jupiter is the philosopher's planet, right? So it's really enlightening. I think that educating yourself on this trip and enlightening the mind really is what fuels your guys' determination. And you're going to have this big burst of experience. And when you come back, you're going to be really determined to you're going to get on your shit, and you're going to get on your A game, whether that's like setting up a workout program to lose weight, or whether that's like really wanting to go back to school and study something that's really intensive, or whether that's to pick up any kind of hobby that requires dedication. Whatever the case may be. Or maybe you just come back to your work or your job and you're like, I'm going to take on extra hours. I'm feeling recharged. I want to take on double time. My boss said I could if I wanted to, or I'm ready to take on that promotion. Whatever it is, you're feeling determined. You're feeling motivated to take advantage of the opportunities, which is ironic, right? Because initially you turned down this gift. Four of Cups talks about turning down opportunities. But the thing is, you had to learn how to turn things down before you could learn to pick things up. It's the feeling of the universe wanted you to feel what it was like to feel full and like you didn't want anything else in the world. And that this person that was offering these like things to you, was kind of a negative influence. Now for some of you, I am exaggerating the qualities of this person. They might not be that bad, but to you, they feel this bad. I'm going to be honest. You guys feel pretty strong reactions towards them. And just not giving them the time of day. That's kind of the secret to like manifesting this next best thing, right? For some of you, if you haven't already extricated this person from your life, you will. But overall, I'm seeing a general vibe of accepting opportunities. With Eight of Wands, it just means they're kind of like falling into your lap. That's kind of the vibe that I'm seeing. Let me see if I see anything else. Yeah, the sky, again, you're going to be feeling your most beautiful, especially in your body with how you're feeling your energy and being recharged when you're looking at the sky on this vacation. There's something about skylines, the sky meeting the earth, something about the sky being really powerful. You might even experience a lightning storm, and the lightning storm totally revitalizes you. I don't know if you guys know, but I don't know if lightning does this, but rain, I know dropping rain releases negative ions into the air. And negative ions provide positivity, right? Sometimes, I know it's funny because they're called negative, but they actually provide positivity. But like positive ions are released when we have like our air conditioning on and we're dealing with things that are made of like electricity and stuff that release a lot of positive ions. But negative ions are released when it rains. It totally cleanses the atmosphere and can make us feel very, like everything feels fresh, right? When you go outside after a rainstorm, you just breathe in that fresh air. At least that's how it feels here where it doesn't rain too often. It's like really nice when we get rain because it revitalizes the atmosphere, right? So I'm going to end your guys' reading here. Thank you again so much for letting me read for you. It was an honor. It was a pleasure. This was the last group. So this doesn't matter to you. I'm going to try to get this reading up soon. This doesn't matter to you because when you're watching this reading, it'll already be up. If you want to help out the channel, please like or comment below. With that said, if you guys enjoyed this pick a card and you want to watch more, I will see you in the next one. Thanks again and bye.